Greetings, greetings, everyone. Greetings. I am David D. King, Dr. David D. King. I'm just setting up. I got guests coming on any second, and so I'm just setting up, waiting on all of them. Welcome to the Wisconsin Revival Rally. I'm excited about what's going on across the state. So we're going to have conservatives, pastors, freedom fighter pastors, and freedom fighters across the state going to be on the show today. I'm waiting on them to get in backstage. So you guys just continue to come on in. And as I'm still setting up, I need you guys just come on in. I'm waiting on the guests backstage. I see Apostle Valentino is backstage, but there is his device is not connected. Oh, I see another one of my guests is here. And I'm going to bring her on any second. I'm just setting up, making sure that I am on everything. So let me make sure. And we're going to bring her on any second. So if you guys that are watching, let me bring her in first. There she go.
Hey.
Hey.
Sorry, I'm trying to get this figured out.
I know I'm just waiting on everybody else. Pastor V, if you can hear me, it says your device is not connected. So maybe you want to pop out and pop back in. But those of you that is watching from Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, somebody is already saying, hey, Nikki.
Hi.
That is Tara Johnson.
Hi, Tara.
So, Tara, if you want to come on, just let us know and we'll get you on the show because this is going to be fun tonight. This is really going to be fun tonight.
Something tells me that won't be something Tara's going to do.
I know, right? I know.
Yeah.
So, but we're just waiting on a couple of more people. So how are you? I know you just been having a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm all right.
Good. That is good.
Happy to be here. How are you doing? How's Rosie doing? How's your son?
She's doing pretty good. I even sent her to see if she wants to come on tonight from Vegas, and maybe she'll jump in.
Excellent.
Oh, wait, I got to put up. See, the good thing about this, I can put people post up. So this is from your friend. You already know who it is, right?
I know that is Tara.
Okay. Yes. So we got, we'll be able to put up anybody comments. We'll put them up. Anybody want to ask a question, we'll be able to put them up as well. Pastor V is still saying that your device is not connected. So why don't you just, while we're waiting, let me make this announcement on tomorrow. On tomorrow, we will be having Dr. Duke Pesto in the city of Milwaukee. Yes, at downtown Milwaukee, and he's going to be lecturing and answering questions on CRT. So if you are in the Milwaukee area or the surrounding Milwaukee, parents, it is important that you parents come out and learn what's really going on. I think that's the problem we have in Nikki. A lot of parents don't know what's really going on.
A lot of parents are still asleep at the wheel.
Yes. And so he's going to be here from starting at 6 o'clock. The doors open up at 5:30. 790 North Milwaukee Street. That's on the corner of Milwaukee and Wales, downtown Milwaukee, in the home of the Kingdom Chamber of Commerce. And that's who's sponsoring it. The Kingdom Chamber of Commerce is sponsoring Dr. DuPesto. So we're asking you guys to come on out, enjoy this wonderful information. Anytime you can get information, it's wonderful. So come on out and join us. So we're excited about that. So while we're waiting on our other guests, why don't you tell people about you and your group that you're with?
Okay, well, my name is Nikki, and I'm proud to be a part of a really great, growing, engaged, action-oriented, dynamic group of people in Jefferson County, and we call ourselves Jefferson County Freedom Forum because that's what we want to be. We want to be a place that educates and inspires and empowers people to know why freedom matters and why learning the Constitution, reading the Constitution matters for us, for our generation now, but also to teach that to our children. And then also, like, what do we need to do? Like, this is a personal responsibility thing that we are trying to instill in everyone. So it's not just like, what can the government do, or it's all, the current governor's fault or the president's fault. Well, we've been sitting asleep at the wheel, whether it's for at school, not going to school board meetings for generations, or just that complacency. It breeds more complacency. So really the problem is us. And we are needing to be awakened so that we can get engaged and we can actually become part of making a better system for our future. So that also goes into then finding great candidates to run in these elections that are coming up in the springtime, so that we can actually effect change now instead of waiting for the next best thing to kind of come along. We need to be the next best thing.
Oh, I like that in you. I just want you to know we got a troublemaker on here, and I'm hoping to get him on the show. But listen, look what he said.
Do you remember when we could trust the public school? Pepperidge Farms remembers?
This is, now, let me put this one up too.
What a shame the school have abused the concept of and local parents.
This is the Carmel conservative, and I am trying to get him to join us, in this, because one of the things that the reason we started the Wisconsin Revival Rally is because we want pastors and something. Pastor V just sent me a message. Something is wrong with his device, so maybe he's going to have to go out and try to connect his computer. Or Pastor V, if you can hear me, you can also use your phone and it'll bring you on.
Yep, I had a little problem. I'm still trying to load up onto my computer, but I'm using my phone right now while my computer is figuring it out.
Okay, he's coming on. Ed is coming on. So the common conservative, and the thing that why don't you tell everybody, how did you get started with the JCFF?
Well, I don't know. I guess it's pretty simple. It's just a few of us moms. We just kind of decided we needed to have a way to reach people that was public. And instead of being just in our private groups talking about something, we wanted to have a public avenue to engage people. So we created Jefferson County Freedom Forum so that we could have our public events published through a public event. So people are excited about it. We have a lot of things coming up. Actually, we just had a planning meeting last night. So there's a lot on the horizon. It's like we just added some more gas into the gas can, and we're getting ready to hit the road and just start running. So
wow. And That is one of the things I'm hoping for tomorrow. I'm hoping for Milwaukee moms to come in here about CRT, and they get so fired up because it's like you moms, it's like the lioness is coming out of you guys. It's like you mess with my kid, and now all of a sudden you're starting to roar, and it's great because we have so many people who never done nothing like this before is now getting involved and saying it's time to fight.
That's right. I mean, you either have to, once you see something, you have to make a decision about it, right? Once you hear something, you have to make a decision. You have to process it, right? So you're either going to process it in the whole, okay, I'm going to keep the blinders on and continue to live life with complacency as though everything's fine, or you're going to process it through the lens of truth. Like, okay, I learned this. I know this now. I've seen that my kids are learning these things. I've heard about this. Now I need to take action because I think it's not okay. So if you really, like, that's kind of the burden that a lot of my other mom friends have realized, is that if we actually think something is not okay, then we as parents, who are the rightful authority over our children, it's up to us to do something about it. If we don't like it, then why would we think that the school district is going to make good decisions if we don't speak up, if we don't act, if we don't write our letters and show up to the school board meetings? And even with all that, I mean, they're not always changing. They're not changing their decisions really much at all. So we need to then be the candidates to recruit, or, find people that will step up to run in these elections and then support them. So.
Wow. And now we got another lioness I'm about to bring in.
Oh, yeah.
There she goes.
Well, hello.
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 How are you guys this evening?
This is another lioness. Now, the thing that I love about the Wisconsin Revival Rally is because we can go around and meet with all of you lioness, all you moms that saying enough is enough. Because we got Nikki from the Jefferson County. We have Ruth over from Sheboygan County.
Yep.
And then we got Ed who's coming on, and ain't no telling where Ed from. But Ruth, why don't you tell the people who you are and the name of your group?
All right. My name is Ruth Villarreal, from Sheboygan, born and raised. I represent Faith, Family, and Freedom. So we are a rather new organization. We just started getting ourselves out into the nitty-gritty of everything about 3 months ago. So we were still working on our mission statement, and we were a little slow in those departments. So either way, so what we do with Faith, Family, and Freedom is that we are promoting national values, and that's really what kind of joins everybody together. So, with Faith, Family, Freedom, that's something that everybody can stand behind. So our goal is to offer a service to unify all patriotic groups. So we've kind of been having people come on, and it was just really so eye-opening going to your last rally, David, in Milwaukee, because it just kind of solidified all of those areas that I was just trying to work out in my brain with my group. And it just kind of was like, ding, the light went on. It's like, that's exactly what it is,
Well, being a Frederick Douglass Republican, it happens sometime like that.
I was like, I didn't know that that's what I was, but that's what I am.
I know. It's amazing how, and when we say, for those who's watching, when we say Frederick Douglass Republican, we're not talking about an organization. We're talking about an individual who loves their liberty, who loves the Constitution, who loves their Second Amendment, who love to keep more money in their own pocket, who love less government. I mean, that's who we love our values. That's just who we are.
Yep.
And so I'm excited. I was with Nikki on Saturday after the event, and I'm telling Nikki, about the Frederick Douglass Republican, and Pastor Roger says, "Oh, I got a book for you," and he gave her one of the books.
Awesome.
But do you know what I love about all of this is that nobody is claiming a side. Nobody is saying I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican, I'm a Libertarian. I'm not. All they saying is we are parents, we are individuals. You're not going to bully us. You're not going to walk on our kids. You're not going to indoctrinate our kids. We are sick of this mess, and we're tired of the good old boys coming up and saying vote for us, and they're not doing anything for us. So you got a group of people that says enough is enough. You got a group of people that says, you know what? I used to just sit around and tell, but now that it hit my house, you done messed up. So it's just amazing to see you women and men, because there are men. I don't know if the men are scared of their wives and they just coming out and fighting, but you see them out there and they're saying, what's the beauty of it was when we was in Sheboygan at the Medical Freedom Rally, there was a young lady there, and she had a sign up about her uncle died. You remember that lady?
I sure do.
Well, I friended that lady. She's now a friend. We talk on Facebook now.
Yep.
Now, she was there, and she didn't realize that we was there for her, because you have a right to do whatever you want to do. And that's what we're fighting for, that everybody can continue to have the right to do whatever they want to do. Just don't be mad at somebody else because their decision is not connected with your decision. And so, and this is the part I'm loving with you ladies. Nikki and my wife, they done just connected, and Nikki told my wife, you need to start a book club. So my wife went and started researching, how do you start this book club? And
yes.
Yes.
I've already told people I'm recruiting people for her book club that she hasn't started yet. So as soon as she's ready, she's got a whole group of people.
and actually what she's going to do is she is going to do the Frederick Douglass book that you guys got. That's going to be the first. That's going to be the first book. And then she's saying, well, what book we going to read next? And see, I just brought her the writings of Frederick Douglass. I brought her volume 1 and volume 2.
Nice.
So I told her, now you can just have everybody buy the volumes of Frederick Douglass, and you got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about.
There we go.
So Ed is going to join us in a minute. So let me ask you ladies a question, because this is just pastors and patriots conversation, and any other patriot. Now let me say it like this: any other patriot that want to come on, no candidates unless you're not allowed. If you're a candidate, you're not allowed to talk about your campaign. We're only talking patriots and pastors now, and Ruth can contest. I did not bring up my campaign. Somebody else brought it up, but I did not bring it up at the rallies because it's about pastors and patriots. Okay, so if anybody want to come on, we welcome them to come on.
Well, I have a question.
Yes.
Is it okay if patriots have pajamas on?
Patriots can have whatever they want on, just as long as they got something on.
That not me. That's for somebody else out there watching.
Oh, tell them they can come on. And
I'm fully dressed.
Was that Tara?
Yeah, Tara.
Tell Tara she could come on. I was trying to find somebody from Wolf to come on as well. The next one we're doing, I talked to somebody from Wisconsin Patriot out of the Kenosha area. They're going to come on the next one. And the reason we're doing is, listen, we already know the snow coming, right? So what we can do these shows and keep everybody connected, keep everybody motivated, keep everybody fired up, because we have challenges. When you start to fight, challenges comes, right? And we don't need to get discouraged. We need to stay focused until the battle is over.
That's right.
Let me see, what did Ed say? Oh, he said give him a couple of minutes. So, so here's the question, ladies. Tomorrow is going to be a big day in Milwaukee. I've been telling parents, you need to come tomorrow. You cannot not show up tomorrow and listen to Dr. Duke Pesto. So he says, I'm in. I don't see you in. Hold on, let me do this. Kick out the studio. Yes. Oh, there he is. Let me bring him in before I ask this, and then I ask the question. There he goes.
Ta-da!
Now I don't feel outnumbered no more.
Yeah, even the odds. That's what we got to do
This is
here.
like magic.
Yes. So, ladies, tomorrow is very important. Dr. Duke Pesto is going to be here, and I know some mothers are going to get ticked off tomorrow after they watch the presentation and know what's going on in the schools. What would you mothers say to those mothers who's about to get angry?
I would say use the anger.
Okay.
I mean, it's if you sit back and you don't want to be angry, so you're going to protect your emotions, and by not seeing something that's actually happening, then you're doing your family a disservice by being willfully ignorant. So if you're going to go somewhere and you're going to end up angry when you leave there, maybe that's just something that you have to go through to activate you.
I like that.
So are we talking about people who are in agreement or disagreement with us?
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Well, actually, if they come to the event tomorrow and they see the evidence, they're going to be with us. I don't think there's a mother in her right mind that will see this evidence and not be with us. I don't see it. But they're going to say, what can we do, though? Because, a lot of people don't think they can do anything. So the question they're going to say is, what can we do? So, for example, they might say, we want a group. How do we get a group?
Well, I guess I can't really vouch for being the angry type. I like to rationalize things. And I guess if somebody's coming in anger, I really do think that it's just a lack of knowledge. So feeding them with truth, and when you talk to somebody in truth, it is, like you said, very, very difficult for them to disagree with you. We all, and especially as mothers, our sole purpose is to protect our children, and it's something that's innate. So it's not something that we really need to coach another parent on, really. But sometimes there's a confusion and a lack of education in the means of trying to get your values across to the school system or whatever it may be. But I think, is from what I've witnessed, even with people that are a little doubtful, as soon as you give them the tools, that's it. It's game over. And it's.
Go ahead.
It's just finding those individuals that need that help. So, yeah.
All I know, if I was in school and my mama went to see Dr. Duke Pesto and listened to what they was doing, I don't think the building would be standing right now. I think she would have been a tornado going through there saying, I know you're not teaching my son this. I know this is not in his classroom. I know. And see, I was in the barbershop today, and Ed, I want your opinion on this because I was talking to the men's in the barbershop.
Wait. I got to get this right. You were in a barbershop. I mean, let's think this through.
Listen.
You, me, I just don't see us having those appointments.
Well, see, I don't trust me with a razor on my head. So I go to someone.
Fair enough.
I go to my cousin. He's very good with a razor. So I trust him in my head. So we're in the barbershop today. And so the conversation came up about education. And I began to share with them about education. And hi, beautiful.
Hi.
What's up, little one?
My name is Willie.
He said, "My name is Willie."
I know, Willie.
Hey,
But so I said to them, it's our fault. And the reason it's our fault is because what we seen is we just saw the report cards. We saw they do their homework, but we really wasn't asking the question on what are they saying in the classroom? What kind of conversations are y'all having inside that classroom? Are they talking about sex? Are they because it's not the school job to talk to you about sex. It's my job as your parent to talk to you about sex. What kind of questions is they asking you? Are they asking you, do we care? Do we have guns in our house?
Mm-hmm.
These are the questions that we're supposed to be asking. And then we need to ask them, in what class are they asking you these questions? Are they asking you that in math class? Because that's not a question for math class. So as parents, and I know how you feel about your how you will go, Ed. You go all Wild Wild West. So
it's kind of true.
So and I want you to use your Milwaukee mindset on this, Ed. Okay?
Oh, we're in trouble now.
So you're watching a Dr. Duke presentation, okay? And watching that, knowing that your kids are being exposed to this stuff, knowing that the books that's in the public school systems are rated X that we wouldn't even read, and they in there and they're talking to your kids, So Ed, how would you feel if you just saw that for the first time?
See, it's a little hard to answer hypotheticals. I would love to do that, but once you've been initiated, once you know and you've seen behind the curtain and you know who's pulling the levers of the great and powerful Oz, it's really hard to go back to that. All I can tell you is present day me. Ruth was talking about, not using anger or anything. Oh, I'll take care of that for you. I'm good for that. I embrace that. I'm not the biggest fan of when people are like, well, just love them. No, don't love them. Some of these folks need the opposite. And the opposite of love is not hate, believe it or not. It's just you write them off. You just pay them no more mind. It's apathy. And I find those emotions like love, hate, anger. If you channel them properly, you can go a long way with that, but you got to be constructive with it. Because I think a lot of people are motivated to do things based on anger alone. I think a lot of folks here are speaking out against CRT, against critical gender theory, against the bastardization of the English language, because a lot of this has angered us as parents, and this is not what we want for our children. I made a comment in the chat room earlier. It's really a shame because school systems operate under something called in loco parentis, which is Latin for in lieu of the parent. So, God forbid something should happen to your kid, they're going to take medical attention to that child. They're going to make a couple decisions, but they try to operate as if somehow they know better than you, the parent, the mother, the father. And that's just absurd. And who do we have to blame for this? The reality is we have ourselves. We backed off every step of the way. We acquiesced. We acquiesce to school systems. We acquiesce entertainment. We acquiesce music. We acquiesce higher education. Now we're finally at a point where we just have to literally draw a line in the sand and say this far and no further. Because if we keep getting pushed further and further and further, we're going off the cliff. And there'll be nobody left to stand for our kids. So I think somebody said earlier, excuse me a second. Somebody said earlier, if presented with the truth, how many people could say no to that? And I would argue a lot.
Yep.
And the proof of this is just take a look at what's happened over the last year and a half with the lockdowns, with the illegal edicts handed down from governors and all over the various states, there are people that are supportive of this. No, never mind to the fact that they're seeing their freedoms eroded right in front of them. They're seeing things that are just completely irrational, things they would have dismissed 2 years ago. So I think there's a lot of people you could present. I mean, God could come down right now in front of them and they still would deny his existence. Like they'd be sipping like a glass of water and like, hey, see, it's mine now. No, it's still water. It doesn't matter. They still taste the alcohol, but they still call it water. And I'm not really sure how you reach those people. The best analogy I have, I don't know if anyone's ever seen the movie Inception. Great movie. Plant seeds within seeds, and just let those ideas germinate. Because at some point, I think a lot of these people in the darkness of night, when they're laying down by themselves, they have to come to an epiphany. Something's wrong. And they have to feel in their heart and soul. I mean, but I could be wrong. Like David said, I'm just somebody in the middle of nowhere. So,
Well, one thing that I would like to add to that, though, Ed, is that for generations now, we've been taught that we need to respect authority at almost any cost. And when I was growing up, I was raised to be respectful of authority. And I also remember that my parents would tell me, if you got in trouble at school, we will trust and listen to your teachers before we will listen to you.
right.
And it's nothing against my parents. It's just that was, I mean, to teach respect, right? So I think that even my parents now, when they look back now, they see how they never went to the school board meetings. They never really paid attention. And a lot of this stuff creeped in without anyone seeing that it was coming. And then when you had some of these people like Dr. Luke DuPesta, who spoke about this a decade ago. I saw him way long before Common Core was even introduced. He was talking about this stuff. And people like really seriously wrote him off as a quack.
Yeah.
And now all this stuff is true. And it's just that here we are, like Ruth and I, as parents now. I mean, like we're just discovering that, hey, we can actually say no to authority. Like actually we have to reclaim our authority as parents, that we have to like kind of unplug that thinking that the schools are in authority over our children. We need to claim that first and foremost. I am an authority of my parents because God has ordained that, and schools you're second. So we kind of have to have a shifting of authority and where the proper place is. But there are so many people that are fans of this comfort, and they're fans of actually being slaves to that system, which has been so comfortable and been there for them and taking care of them for so long. It's really hard to convince people to unplug. But like you said, you make cracks, right? And so like with Ruth is saying, like, you just plant those seeds and you just keep sharing that truth. And eventually they're just going to have to deal with it. However they choose to deal with it. If they choose to continue to be a slave to the system, then that is something that they choose, that's the choice that they've made. But there just needs to be a few of us freedom fighters that are willing to keep on speaking the truth and fighting back for change to happen. We just have to not grow weary.
Well, and I want to just say something on that too, because I think you made some excellent points. The first one being, that whole an appeal to authority. Because I remember when I was a kid, I'd go home and I'd tell my dad, like, so Mrs. So-and-so hates me. And what did the parents default to? They were like, well, no, they don't hate you. You need to pay attention in class. Right. When the reality is, they kind of did hate me for whatever reason. I mean, maybe I was a bit of a jerk, but there might have been times where I wasn't. So in that particular instance, the parent now has a duty to kind of find what the truth is, and if the kid's at fault, punish them accordingly. And if it's a teacher, well, let me just put it this way. For me personally, and I told my kid this, all my kids, and I've told the schools this, when it comes to the authority over my children, word comes from God to me, to you. If there's any mistaking, I will go to war with you. And I'm not the one you want to mess with. I might be one person, but David, I'll tell you, I kind of don't care. You kind of cross that line.
That's why I'm glad you're my friend. But you know what? Here's what I see is happening right now. Because I'm also want to talk about what you told us when you were saying, Nikki, about respecting authority, right? There was a little boy on the playground, and he walked up to this bully, and he said to the bully, he says, "I heard you got a list of everybody in the class you can whoop." And the bully said, "I do." He said, "Well, I heard my name is on that list." The bully went in the pocket, pulled out the names, and said, "It is." And the little boy said, "But you can't whoop me." And the bully said, "You know what? I'm going to take your name off the list." See, the government been bullying people for so long, and we saying right now, we say, hold on, you can't bully us. And this is why you got people rising up. And guess what? At school boards meeting, after school boards meeting, they finding out, wait a minute, we can't whoop them. You know, so now that we tested it with the school board, now I saw Dodge County, they removed the county supervisor. The people did. They removed the county supervisor and they put one in his spot. And when he went to his first meeting, he took the people with him. And when they went in, they wanted a certain person on the executive board, and they got what they wanted. So what we forgot was the power is not in the hands of those that are elected. The power is in our hands. The problem is we're not using that power.
That's right.
You know, and that's why we have to now start to use the power that has been invested in us. Now, it's like, and I use Ed because
Why not?
Ed is not like this. But if,
I'm used to it.
But if Ruth got a 357 laying next to her in her bed, and Ed breaks in her house and rape her, is it Ed's fault or is it Ruth's fault? It's Ruth's fault because she got a big old 357 right there, right?
Ruth, my fault. I'm sorry. I should have asked first. My bad.
But what I'm saying
I
is,
kind of feel bad on that one. I'm like,
but what I'm saying is, she has what she needs to protect herself, right? It's right there, and you know what? We allowed it to happen to us, but everything we needed was always right there. It was right there.
But that's been systematically untaught.
Yes.
Don't you think? I mean, this is no accident that suddenly there's all these Americans that don't know and don't believe that we have that power inside of ourselves already. Yes. This is not just something that just happened in 2020 and then 2021, right? This has been going on. We have been intentionally put to sleep for generations.
Yes.
And we just have the blessing of having a great awakening occurring all around us. And
how and why do you think that happened?
What, the falling asleep?
Yeah. I love hearing people's take on this because that is so key to understanding and going forward.
I got a big one on that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lack of identity. We have forgotten our identity. Okay. So as was mentioned before, we have our Father in heaven. All right. And that's it. With all of these exemptions and all of this, I'm going to tell you, as a healthcare worker, we need to know who your pastor is, and you know what? This isn't about people, okay? Mm-hmm. This is about our Father and the laws that we have to claim back again, okay? We have laws. We were meant to live under these laws, and He is my law. So if you have something that you want to say, you better take it up with Him, because it's written and everybody can understand it. It was written, and it was also in parables. It was meant for everyone. And so we have no excuse. We have no excuse. Right. We have to reclaim our identity.
That's right. Ruth, do you need to write an exemption, Ruth, or do they need to be asking your permission?
You know what? When it happened to me, I don't follow organized religion. I am a woman of faith, and I claimed that faith. Okay. It's given to me by my Father. So I'm not going to sit here and play your game. It's a game.
And you
That's
know,
right.
I'm so glad you went there. I didn't want to be the preacher to go there. So I'm so glad you went there.
We
Because here's the thing about it. When they did the shutdown, when they tried to shut us down, and they shut the church down, I was like, hold up.
Mhm.
First of all, my building is not the church. I'm the church.
That's
First
right.
of all, my building we call the embassy because we're part of the kingdom of God. Okay? No other country can close another country embassy. So I kept mine open. All right. So then when I kept it open, we started having service on the state capitol grounds. Now I'm getting phone calls from pastors. What are you doing? Is you crazy? You're supposed to obey the law of the land. So this is what I told them.
Which
I
is
said,
true.
That
I said-
rebellious nature has come out.
hey, wait a minute. I said, okay, if I got to obey the law of the land, you do too. So go marry two men. I can't marry two men. That's against God. I said, exactly. So if that's against God, shutting down his church and he didn't tell me to, that's against God.
There's truth, and then there's ambiguity about what you just said there. You know, when you say, well, then go marry two men, it's like, well, I'm not really interested in that. What I am interested in is having my house of worship still open. And I think therein lies the problem. There was a lot of compliance. There was a lot of people that are bending the knee. And I think what's happened, especially over the last 30, 40 years, we've had a radical shift in the economy. And a lot of people don't seem to understand that economics plays a heavy role in this. Because remember, there was a time where you could have one person working, one person in the home.
Yeah.
And everybody was good. And I remember my mom would go to work as a part-time just to make extra spending cash for the holidays. And she'd work a few months out of the year. And boy, we never did without, and my dad was in the military. He was there 24, doing his thing, but we were always taken care of. The economy changed. And now all of a sudden we need two parents out there. We need two incomes to survive. So I think what happened is that a lot of parents, male and female, what happens when you spend 8 to 10 hours, 12 hours out there? You're tired. Do you really want to get involved in the school board? Oh man, it's Sunday. I want to sleep in, but I got to go to church. Do I really got to put up with the after thing where we're all going to sit here and eat donuts and compare whose kids are the cutest? Come on. Everybody knows it's a clique system out there. I hate it going to those things. But my point still stands. People got tired. And what happens when you're tired? You want to rest. And when you're resting, somebody else is going to be working overtime. And we're in the situation we're at now.
Well, I don't know. I can't say I completely agree with that. And I'm gonna give you a for instance, okay?
Yeah, please.
Because my situation, last June I was fired, okay, from my employment as a nurse.
Mm-hmm.
I was bringing in $47,000 a year. Okay. Yeah. So that was a big chunk of money, right? And I had already learned that we have been brought into enslavement. Okay, so economy is
keep going. I'm loving this.
Economy is one thing, but everybody says they own something, but they don't own it. You don't own your house. You don't own your fancy cars. It's all what? On credit. Okay, so when this hit my house, it made the decision very, very easy. Okay, because nothing is going to come between me and my God. Nothing. Not things, not a house, not cars, not nothing. But I was already on that path in that my car was already paid for, okay? I didn't have this mortgage. I didn't have anything that was holding me back from doing what was right. And we're on one income right now, okay? Mm-hmm. And I've taken a lot of cuts.
Yeah.
It's doable. But you know what I realized about that? I'm no longer working all of those hours, and it allowed me the opportunity to be a parent, to be there for my son, to control those things and be aware and ask him questions and not be tired. Or, you know what I mean? It's that system of enslavement. And we fell for it. I fell for it years ago. I had a brand new car at one time. I had a nice house. You know what I mean? but it wasn't mine. It took me years to pay that off.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so we need to get out of that mentality of this. We have to have these things, that American dream. It doesn't exist.
Oh, yes, it does. Yes,
You know,
it does.
well, it exists for the people that want it, you know, but
I live it every day.
Enslavement.
I live
Hey,
it every
we
day.
have, let me say this real quick. Pastor Dion made that statement, we are all wards of the state.
Mhm.
So I want to know if Pastor Dion would like to come on this show tonight and join in, because this is a show with patriots and pastors. So I just want him to know that if he say yes, we'll bring him on.
Beautiful.
And any other patriot that wants to come on, we want you guys to come on because of the fact that this is what we're talking about. You know, we understand how we got in this mousetrap. The question is, how do we get out of it? You know, because you know, from them giving welfare through LBJ war on poverty that destroyed families.
Yep.
To all this free money, was nobody want to go to work now. You know, I never seen McDonald's want to give a signing bonus like they NBA players or something.
They can't fix their ice cream machines, but they're gonna give you a bonus.
Right. You know. So
I wanted a McFlurry with peanuts in it.
And you know what's weird? All this free money is going out, but all of these storage places are being built up.
Yeah.
So you know something's getting ready to happen.
Yep.
Oh, I could tell you.
Go
I
ahead.
can tell you exactly. So again, I tied the economics into what you guys are talking about, what you guys are doing, because it's all interrelated. If we look at the history of the public school systems on the onset from this of the creation of this nation, it was to create and produce patriotic citizens that had an obligation and an understanding to the responsibility that every citizen has to the body politic. That changed after the Civil War. And what changed about it was right before the Industrial Revolution, or during that time, what you ended up having was that all these big businesses, they started, lobbying so that they can get schools to produce factory workers, drones. Think about this. You're taught to the test. You're given a bell to go from point A to point B. Don't be late. Be on time. Do this, do that. Don't question authority. And it is literally to create factory workers, to create drones, or as I like to say, NPCs, for the people that play video games, non-playable characters. Now, how does this all tie into what else is going on? When we look at the housing market, take a look around. You're seeing houses being sold for $20,000 to $50,000 to $75,000 over asking price. This is important because the World Economic Forum has this thing, and not a conspiracy. Take a look. It is legit. It's called the Great Reset. You will own nothing and you will be happy. So what happens when you're broke? You're living on universal basic income. The education system is telling you what to think, not how to think. When the state becomes God, when you don't have a home except for the home that is sponsored by the company you work for, as to Ruth's point, a wage slave, which 100% incorrect. We are slaves to debt. We are slaves to the Federal Reserve. And I've heard some people even go so far as to say the reason you have a Social Security number is because as a human being here in America, you are a commodity. It's just that we live with golden chains, golden shackles. As Kristan T. Harris would say, fully automated communism, luxury communism is what they're going for.
Well, you already know we are a commodity. Look at Wisconsin. Men and women, excuse me, are paying interest on child support. How do you pay interest on your own child?
Because the court's got to make money. Don't even get me started on that one. Man.
I mean, and right now
we'll be here a long time.
I know, right? And right now, what the school system is teaching them, how to follow armed guards. They put armed guards in the schools, so when they get to prison, they already know how to act in there. But
in truth, But in truth, they did do that during the 90s. And let's face it, the gang problem was ridiculous.
Well, I don't know. I wasn't in the schools in the 90s, so I don't know. But I left 79, so I don't know all that other stuff. I think we was the last era where the teacher could whoop you, and
Yeah.
and if you got a whooping from the teacher, you didn't go home and tell it.
No, because your dad would beat you up.
Right, so you just took that whooping and if we be honest, we know our kids, right? We know when they like Nikki. I'm gonna use Nikki for an example. On Saturday, we heard this big crash. It was like cloud, and Nikki was like, "My kid." Nobody said it was her kid. She was like, "My kid," and I was like, "Your kid." She was like, "I know my kid."
Was I right?
You was right.
I was right.
And so now, and I used her because all of us know our kids. So if the school called us and said our kids did something, why would we act like, no, not my kid? No, we know our kids. I went to the school, my daughter, and I was in the office checking in, and me and the principal walking down the aisle. And this little girl was laughing so hard in the class, it came all the way out in the hallway. And it was just laughing, and just laughing and laughing. I was like, why that girl got a big mouth? Just laughing until I caught the voice. And I'm sitting there like, my child. I get in the classroom, sure enough, my child, sitting there laughing. And then when she saw me, she said, hey, Daddy, I'm having a bad day. I bet you are. But I couldn't say, that ain't my kid. No, I know my children. I know my grandchildren. When they call me and tell me my grandson done something, I said, that's him. I don't sit there and say, you lying on him. No, that's him. And if we can be honest with ourselves and then address those issues, and then there's some things that I told my son that my daddy told me. Your teacher's not there to like you. She's there to teach you. Now learn. But I had to learn standing up because when he got through with me, I couldn't sit down. And and the thing about it is this. What we also fell asleep on is that we allow the school system to go to the people we voted in office to make laws against us when it comes to our kids. They don't have to tell us that they're doing something with our kids. If they give them birth control, they ain't got to tell us. What you mean you ain't got to tell me? So now they done took all our stuff to the fact where if you take your 14-year-old, a lady told me, took her 14-year-old to the doctor. And the doctor asked the 14-year-old, do you want your mama to be in here with you? What do you mean, do you want me to be? I'm going to be in here with you.
It's like you act like this is a choice.
Do you know that in the state of Wisconsin, when they're 14, you actually have no rights to their medical, to getting their medical records unless the child who's 14 years of age or older signs off on it, giving you, the parent, permission to access their medical records.
And see, how did that happen? Those people.
Hell if I know, but I'll tell you what, that's not going to fly. But it's real, though. I have friends who have had that experience this year, and they were flabbergasted because that was their oldest child. They've never had that experience before.
Right.
See, I'd be like, with the amount of money I'm paying, I got access to them records, boy. You better start signing. Or you bite that paper, do it, indenture, do what you got to do because I'm getting access.
But let's think about this, though. Why? I understand that there's some times when, unfortunately, the parent really is the bad guy for a child's life, and that's real, and that is absolutely tragic. It pains me to think that we are creating all these rules that normalize the exception, right? So, yes, there are some bad parents, for sure. However, we can't normalize that, right? Like if, gosh, if we as parents are going to be responsible for our children, we really need to take that responsibility. When those children get hurt, whether it's from a medical procedure or if it's from anything in their life, I am responsible to figure that out for my children. So if they're at a doctor's office and there's medical information that needs to be known to the parents who are going to be financially, at the very least, right, just financially responsible, how can we be prevented from seeing that information? In my view, the further I get away from participating in the system, the more clearly I see this, that all those things are intentionally designed to place a wedge between the child and the parent.
Yep.
Right? Therefore, once again, subverting the parental authority over the child.
Right.
And it may not be intentional, right? The nurse who's just doing her job and not allowing you parents to see those records is maybe unintentionally so, but participating in that wedge between the parent and the child. And the same thing goes with the school, whether it's the school nurse that is not reporting that the child is sexually active, or whether it is the teachers who send those surveys home saying, what would you like to be called in school? What would your pronouns like? What would you like your pronouns to be in school? Oh, and what pronouns or what name would you like me to use when I refer to you in talking with your parents? Like, that is intentionally placing that teacher as the authority and putting that wedge between the student and the parent. So then therefore it destroys the authority that the parents have every chance they get.
But hey, remember, we have to get away from this idea that those children are yours. They belong to society.
Exactly.
Right.
And you gotta remember now, if you go back and look at who voted for that crap to give to school, I guarantee you're gonna find some on both sides.
Absolutely.
That did that to us.
Absolutely. But this is not the time for us to be pointing fingers though either, right?
It's time to fix it, right? It's time to fix it, but we got to know how we got here to fix it.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is, just like we trusted the school, we trusted those people we voted in office, and they was making laws against us, and we didn't pay no attention because, like you say, we were asleep. Now that we woke, we gotta make them. It's a lot of stuff they gotta undo so we, as parents, can get our power back. Go ahead.
I think it is the time to point fingers. It's the time to identify who's responsible for this, what party, what parties, which one is more suspect on it than the others, and get them out. I don't care if you're left-leaning, right-leaning, doesn't matter. If you were in any way complicit in this garbage, and by complicit, I mean, I'm hypercritical of Republicans. I generally don't like Republicans because to me, Republicans are nothing more than a speed bump along the way to a progressive agenda. They don't really stand for anything. And I challenge anybody to tell me otherwise.
Republican.
Well, Frederick Douglass or otherwise. I mean, because my thing on that is that, okay, well, where was that in 2018, 16, 20, 14, 12? Because this is all led up to what we have right now. So my point simply is that if you aren't standing for something, then you need to be removed. And we need people that are going to come in here and actually have a spine and put up a fight and tell us, the public, what you stand for, what you are fighting for, because I'm a military brat. I was in the Marine Corps and I moved around to a lot of places. I love Wisconsin. I've tried to escape Wisconsin like 8 or 9 times and I keep coming back. But the more I keep coming back, the more I realize Wisconsin deserves better than what it has right now. And if we don't fight for it, it's game over.
Who want to test this statement right here?
Good luck with that. There's a lot of money involved in that. They ain't gonna let that happen.
Yeah, I think and it just goes back to what Mr. Smith is putting out there, and we have to start looking for people who are outspoken about their values. It's very simple. What do you value?
Yeah.
And when we're looking at these candidates, it's just that simple. Tell me what your values are. And if they align with mine, well, then I'm your girl. Okay.
Yeah.
And the more we get them out there to speak, the more that we, engage with them, it becomes even more clear, right? Because they're either going to hide or they're going to try to put words where they weren't before. So, we have a greater responsibility in seeking out these people, and especially as believers. Okay, I'm putting that weight on my shoulders because I know truth. I know that there's people out there that don't. So I have that greater burden and I have to carry it because I've been exposed and I can't go back. So we have that responsibility to seek out these individuals. It's not about party line. It really isn't. People don't even know. It goes back to their identity. You don't know who you are. Okay. When you find out who you are, well, then come back and talk to me. But I know how I was raised and I know truth. And so it makes it very simple. My values are clear, and I want to find those individuals. I don't like the wishy-washy. Those people just need to go.
Mm-hmm.
Like Ed said, we gotta have candidates that has a backbone that can take some heat, because you in order to, even in the Bible says the kingdom suffer violence and the violence take it by force. So you got to be able to handle heat. You got to be able to withstand some stuff, and you got to have tough skin, because if you don't and you're a soft person with no backbone, you won't survive in the swamp. There's no way you're gonna survive. So when we're looking, I'm seeing with all kind of candidates for all different kind of position right now, and they all starting to say the same thing. I'm ready to fight. Where were you before now? Did you fight? Have you been fighting? Now you ready to fight? No, you just ready to get elected. You're not ready to fight.
Yep.
I remember when we was coming up and your friends is there and a fight is getting ready to come on, right? I used to watch the women take the Vaseline and put it on their face, and they got their hair up and they got Vaseline on their face. Those are the ones who's ready to fight. And they know how to fight. They don't. You never seen nobody in the street do a cute fight. It's never a cute fight. It's always, even if you won the fight, you knew you was in a fight. I used to hear people say, if I lose, you're gonna know the person that won was in a fight. It ain't gonna be like he just whooped me. And so those are the ones we need. We need those people that has a backbone, that has courage, that has been fighting and ready to fight even deeper, because it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be a cakewalk. It's going to be like you say, you can't hide your faith in this thing, because here's the thing about it. I was talking with a lady today and I said to her, you saw me speak at a rally, but then you saw me in a restaurant, and you saw the same person in the restaurant you saw in the rally. I don't change. Okay. And that's another thing that we got to watch. I'm going to use this. Can a candidate be climate change? They only change when they're in a certain climate. They never the same. In the rally, they say one thing, but then when they get around people that they might offend, they're not going to say that because they don't want to offend anybody. No. It's time to offend. See, if I took Ed with me and Ed would have a shootout to get out of there, because Ed don't bite his tongue. Ed just say. And to believe it or not, those are what we need our candidates to do. Our candidates need to be willing to offend somebody, long as they standing on the truth. Because anytime you stand on the truth, you're going to offend people.
Yeah.
Well, I think the hard part for a lot of candidates, though, and I think this is why it's hard to get quality candidates, is for the people that are just going to say what they're going to say. What's the real incentive for them? I mean, I know there's the public good, public service, do it for your kids. I get that. But knowing that whatever opposition you're going to face is going to drag you, your past, your family through the mud, it's going to be emotional. It's a ton of money that you got to raise for something like that. There's almost not an incentive to do it. It's like there's more incentive to just be like, you know what? I'm selling my house, I'm selling my car, selling all my goods, and I'm going to go live out in a van down by the river. You know, there's almost more incentive to do that because that would be easier to deal with than running for office.
Well, let me do it this way. Here's the incentive. In the Bible, the children of Israel was being challenged by Goliath. And Goliath kept saying, send me somebody to fight. Send me somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And here's somebody come that didn't know nothing about military. And he heard the challenge. First thing came out of his mouth. What do a man get to take out this non-circumcised Philistine? So when they heard David say he'll take the challenge, the first thing they try to do, and see, this is where we mess up at. We'll take somebody that's raw, take somebody that got a backbone, take somebody that's very forceful, take somebody that's ready to just go out there and go, right? And then we get them and we try to water them down. You know you got to be nice, and you know you got to play fair, and you know you got. By the time he get into the fight, he ain't got nothing no more. You know. So what we have to do is we have to let them fight the way they fight. It can't be cute all the time. We can't tell them to watch what they say because you might offend anybody. You know, I know you're telling the truth, but you can't say that. You know, you need to say it this way. No, say it like it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's why, Ed, we got to find you a position to run for because this is the only thing that's going to save us. It's like guerrilla warfare. You can't go in guerrilla warfare cute, you know, because you got to come out as a survivor. You got to come out with the victory. And so we need candidates that know. I'm gonna use Ruth, that know who they are in God first. Because if they know who they are in God, they ain't gonna be brought. They're not gonna go back on their word because your word is everything if you know who you are. If you ain't got money, you should have a word. Your word should be the best thing on you. So that's why one of the things I teach is I say this: if I say I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. If I can't do it, I'm gonna just tell you I can't do it. Because here's the thing about it: if I tell you I'm gonna do it and I really don't want to do it, and I go do it anyway, I don't benefit from that because my heart wasn't right. So I need to do everything with the right heart, the right mindset. So if we can grab people that have not went politically trained, but just fighters, and says, would you represent and will you not sell us out? And they say, yeah, then we need to get behind them financially, our talents, our time, and says, we're going to fight with you and we're going to push you through the finish line. But remember, we pushed you over the finish line, we can pull you out of that finish line.
But I think
see what Tracy put in here?
What?
I need to run to unseat Glenn Grothman. And yeah, for most of my regular followers, they know how I feel about Glenn Grothman. Not a fan. Not a fan.
A lot of talk.
Well, you need to do it. A lot of talk. Yes. Go ahead, Nikki.
Well, I'm a little distracted. I hear typing on a keyboard. Do you guys hear that too?
No.
I don't know what it is, but I hear
I'll mute my mic just in case I'm picking something up.
I don't know what it is. But anyways, you're talking about people. How do we find people to run, and who are these people, and what like as saying, what's the benefit to run? You know, everybody's gonna get trampled on if they're speaking the truth. I think that when you feel now, after everything that we have gone through 2020 and 2021, and all, you know, for generations now being brought into this, seeing now how we've been taught with such dishonesty and a lot of it so intentionally so, that now we have come to a place where we see things with different eyes than we did 2 years ago. So you have to now face your calling. I think that this is really clear for a lot of people that, you know what? I am called to do something right now, and it's unshakable. Have you guys met that? Like, I have met so many people in this last year and a half that just, they don't know what it is, but there's something that they have to do, and they just can't shake it. And it may not be running for an elected position. It may just be activating and talking with their neighbors, or learning more, or maybe pulling their kids from the school system and homeschooling them and taking their steps that way. Or but like there's call on people, and people are actually responding to the call. So I think that as we just plant seeds and we just start asking the questions, hey, have you ever considered running for office? We have, one of the things that we're going to be doing with Jefferson County is we have people on committees to actually seek out candidates. So we're going to see what's going to be on the spring election, what's going to be on the ballot. First of all, like, we don't even know. There could be county board seats, there could be school board seats in a variety of school districts, there could be city council seats. Like, you don't even know. There's so many things that are in that small, unimportant election in the springtime that are really, really important to us at a local level. So we're going to see what's even going to be on that election, or on that ballot, I mean, and then we're going to go find out, and just kind of start asking people, hey, have you ever considered running for office? We think you'd be great for this. And maybe that person doesn't have that calling, but they might know somebody who would be a good fit for that. And then you just ask people, and you start planting those seeds and just discussing it. People are going to come out of the woodwork and say, hey, you know what? I think this is me. I think you're looking for me. This is my calling. I need to run for that. And then we need to get behind those people, like you said, and we need to be all in supporting those right candidates that are going to actually support our constitutional rights and respect your individual sovereignty.
And you're absolutely right. And it has to be a burning passion to run, because it is sacrifices that you have to do to run. You gotta, you're gonna give time away from your family, your business, or whatever. You gotta sacrifice that time. But when I look at that and you say, okay, what's the big picture? Because anytime you do anything, it's supposed to always be bigger than you. If it's focused on you and you alone, then it's not your calling. Your calling has to be bigger than you. The calling, the purpose is bigger than you. You just have that passion. It was like Nehemiah, right? Nehemiah was the cupbearer to the king. He was living good. He got good food. He had a good place to sleep. He had everything. But when he heard about the walls at his home was down, he went into mourning. And the king said, why are you sad? He said, why not sad? Where the place I grew up at is tore up. King said, how long do you need? So the king sent him with everything that he needed to be successful in rebuilding the walls. So it has to be a passion. It can't be where I'm running for office just to have a position. It has to be a burning desire to change things for the better good of everybody, and not just a selfish individual. And when you feel that burning desire and that passion, then you can go out there and then you can make that sacrifice, knowing that you don't lose. Even if you don't win the race, you didn't lose. Why? So look how many people you woke up. Look how many people you was able to educate. Look how many people you gave back their identity. Look how many people. So it's not that you're going to see. Winning the seat is just the icing on the cake. But waking up the people and educating and empowering the people with the knowledge that they didn't have before, that is amazing. That is one of the amazing part of running for office. So guess what? If we can get another mother off the couch, another father off the couch, right? If we can get somebody who had a passion to run for office but didn't know how, and you say, okay, you got a passion to run for school board, come on, we're going to help you. We're going to support you. We're going to help you get everything you need to run for that school board position. Because a lot of people want to run. What they're probably worried about is, can they get the support?
We do have to really be cautious what candidates we are willing to support. We don't want to be supporting more mouthpieces. So we want to make sure, like you're saying, that when we are actually going to be putting our name on the line in supporting these people, they actually have to be those who have those strong backbones.
Yeah.
And I've told people over and over again, if you guys want to see how a really great, effective school board is run, look at Waukesha School District. That the Waukesha School Board, man, they have a pretty even split as far as ideologue, how they believe, their belief systems, but they have amazing dialogue on their school board during school board meetings, which I find that a lot of school districts, like for where I'm out here in Jefferson County, the school boards don't have a lot of effective dialogue. But if we actually had people that could be courageous and could keep their spine even when they're in the middle of a public meeting and public discussion, and they've got people throwing, the opposing views at them, but they're going to stand for what is the truth and what they're called to do as representing their citizens, their residents of their area, and stand with that spine, then that is the people that we need. We need people who have deep strength from within, not just people who are going to roll over and play dead the next time somebody tells them something different.
Mm.
It's and I got to get off here soon, but I know Ruth's been quiet for a moment. I feel like I need to shut up and let Ruth dip in here. I kind of feel like, and that's why, like, whenever David has me come on, I'm like, dude, I don't want to be on here too long because, like, I have a habit of running my mouth, man. Come on, let other people jump on here. Like, I know who I am. I really know. So,
Go ahead, Ruth.
The thing is, I was given the opportunity. I lost a job, but in losing that job, I gained an opportunity, and I'm taking it for what it's worth, and it's been a journey. It's been awesome meeting all of these people. I wouldn't trade it. I honestly wouldn't. I went in head first. I just like you said, I know myself, and so when opposition came and, that door closed, it closed, does that mean that I stopped fighting? No, I've got a pending lawsuit. I'm taking care of business. But on the downside, I've got work to do. Okay. Because I'll be damned if I'm going to allow another brother or another sister to go through what I went through without fighting.
Yep.
And, I want to make sure that I'm doing my part, that I'm abiding by my calling, because I've had sleepless nights.
Yeah.
I have had many, many of them. Wake me up 2-3 o'clock in the morning and just that mind racing and all of that stuff that needs to get done. What am I going to do, Lord? What do you want me to do? Why do you keep waking me up? Because it's not time to sleep. You got work to do. I let you sleep a few hours, get up and do something. And so that, I don't know, you want to call it being an activist. I don't know, being an activist. I don't know if that's
exactly what it is.
But, my desire is so deep to find men, godly men, to run for office. And I don't want to offend anybody by saying that women don't belong in office. Yeah, we belong in office. Okay. But men have taken a back seat. Like we were talking about the whole child support and just being taken out of the picture. Okay. No, I'm sorry. I do not believe that my place is above a man's. And if I can find a godly man, I'm going to back him up. And if I can't find a godly man, well, then I'm going to take his place. Okay.
Whoa.
In office. In office.
Well,
know,
it's kind of interesting, because and please, I'm not making the analogy to you or anyone else and Rottweilers, but study those dogs. They're fascinating creatures. There's always an alpha male, and an alpha female, and none of them want to be an alpha. They rather have somebody else leading them. Well, I mean, I take it back. Sometimes some of the guys want to be alphas because it's mating. But the thing is, though, given the opportunity, these dogs would rather sit in the back and be led by somebody else. The only time they step up is because they have no choice. Leadership is weak. It's an endangerment to the pack. These animals, and I have a Rottweiler, his name's Tor. And my God, you can just see the hamster just churning the wheel. You can see the thought in the eyes. You can see him processing everything. It's like, dude, you are so my spirit animal. I love you. Oh, I love that dog. He's awesome. But you see all of that, but they don't want to be in charge if they can have somebody else do it for them, because this lets them live their best life. And I think, to the point that you were making, I think a lot of women, especially today, with this neo-feminism that's going out there, I don't need a man or anything like that. And then you're mad because you can't find a man when you're 30, 40 years old because you shunned off everybody else. And it's like, well, what man's going to want to be with somebody who has male characteristics that is hyper competitive to them? That's just a recipe for conflict in the home. It's one thing, like with my wife, it's complementary. There's a number of things, skill sets that she has that I can't touch. So when that happens, it's like, you know what? You got the forefront. But in other matters, it's the reverse. But in all matters, it's like, let's consult. We make the decision together. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, in the end, if I don't like something, it ain't happening. But at the same time, like I told David, happy wife, save your life.
Well,
that's right.
And one of the things that, and I'm so glad you said that, because men we really need to take our rightful place. And
without a big head.
And it doesn't take anything away from the woman. Okay. But us men always. So Nikki, watch this. I'm finna ask Ed the question I asked on Saturday.
Damn it. You're gonna get me, aren't you?
Ed. Are you the thermostat or the thermometer in your house?
I don't know, man. It might be both. Oh man. Why you gotta do this to me? Hey, I'll give you the analogy. I'll give you the analogy my wife gave me. You might be the head of the.
No. You need to answer that.
No. Because
No, sorry. Hey, listen, Tiger. This is David King's show. You're gonna have to follow his question. He asked you a very simple question. Which are you?
Are you the thermostat or the thermometer?
I got nothing on thermostats and thermometers.
Okay.
I just know this.
I just know this. Or do you read the temperature?
Oh, say that again.
Do you set the temperature, thermostat, or do you read the temperature, thermometer?
I do both.
Oh, for Pete's sake!
No, seriously. If I'm in a bed, if I had a rough day, you don't want to be like, my dogs don't even want to be near me. My cat doesn't want to be near me. If I had a fish, it would like jump out of the water and walk away. You generally don't want to be behind me when I'm in a bad mood.
Okay,
but
I think you failed.
I probably did.
Ed, you told me, but you don't realize you told me. You're the thermostat. So if you're in a bad mood, everybody knows. Right. If you're in a good mood, in a loving mood, everybody knows. You're the thermostat. You control everything that flows through the house. You the thermostat. Now, the problem is this: a lot of men are supposed to be the thermostat, but they're too busy trying to be the thermometer. Because why? They was indoctrinated. Happy life, happy wife, happy life. Where we was indoctrinated, happy spouse, happy house.
Happy house, yep. But I got to tell you, though, my wife told me one time, she's like, yeah, you might be the head of the house, but I'm the neck. I'm like, damn. I can't argue against that. Can't argue.
Ed, I had to tell Nikki, I said, listen, because Nikki had me going on Saturday, and I had to tell her, I said, listen, we're a team. I'm the captain, though. You know, me and Rosie a team, but I'm the captain. And
Is
you
she-
know what? And here's
Is
the
she an
thing
introvert?
about it. Huh?
Is she an introvert?
Who?
Your wife, is she an introvert?
My wife is the boss.
Well, I know that, but I mean, is she like more the I'm a shy person. I don't want to be like in public. I don't.
No, sir.
I want to be behind. You know. Oh, yeah.
No, sir. No,
She's fantastic.
Oh, she's beautiful. Yes, I love her. I've met her, a couple of times now. But it's funny because I noticed like some people that are like public profile, like, okay, so I've been doing this about 7-8 years now, podcasting. And it's funny because like I kind of really I love being in the limelight. I love having the conversations with people, getting to know folks. It's been a great experience. And even in my personal life, in my public life, outside of this, I'm dead center stage, but my wife though, oh no, she doesn't want the spotlight at all. She doesn't care. She just wants to be number two, like the person, like she wants to be the producer, like telling you, okay, here's what you need to do. Here's what the budget we have for the script. Here, this is all this. So she's like the brains behind the operation. Like if I was a curtain, she would be Oz.
Well,
I ain't messing with her either.
no.
I've gone through seasons. I gotta be truthful. I've gone through some seasons, and there's probably people watching this that know me from my youth, and it took years for me not to be physical in confrontation. If I didn't like somebody or I didn't like something they said, it would go straight past here and straight to there,
Did you have them long nails and the eyelashes and just ready to scrap at a moment's notice?
Yeah, no, we couldn't afford that.
No, yeah, okay, I get you.
But after going and getting my education and getting into the workforce, I mean, you can't play like that, and you have to learn how to vocalize your, disagreements and all of that stuff, and that trailed me even in my relationships because I've been, divorced twice now. And so I'm not going to say that it wasn't a learning experience. It was. I'm very headstrong. I always have been, and learning to be more submissive and to learn my place. I have to take responsibility for that. Now, was it a lack of, again, identity? Yeah, it was a lack of identity. I would never, ever do that again, because I know my place now. I know who I am. And I'm strong for it. You know what I mean? So to say that there's a head of my household, that doesn't hurt me. I got a strong man, and so if he can if he can be the head of my household, he's a strong man. You know what I mean? And so we have to see it for what it is. I haven't always been that way, and still there's times that I come out, and sometimes I probably need to be put in my place. But, again, I just see it time and time again, in all of this last year, it has been so eye-opening in that I see more women coming out than the men.
Yeah.
And it broke my heart. It broke my heart to go out there and not see our children in the school systems being represented by their fathers.
Yeah.
Where are the fathers? And so
that's why I
called them out.
And I just gotta say this. I know Nikki's got somebody. I just gotta say this. I am so fortunate in my life. I mean, like, I'm not one to generally wear my faith on my sleeve, just because I find more the secular argument to be the argument that works best. But that being said, I do consider myself extremely blessed. In this last year and a half, I mean, I've prospered. I mean, professionally, on my podcast, on all levels, I really have, and I consider myself very blessed for that. But so at the same time, because of those blessings, I feel like, with the way my life is structured and has been for the past, I want to say 4 or 5 years, I've had the privilege of being at to take my son to school every day, to be involved with his school every chance I get. And to your point, Ruth, it would be beautiful to see more fathers involved like that. I do see some where I'm at, not a lot, but we're out here, and it's a blessing. I nothing more than that.
You're doggone right we out here. Go ahead, Nikki, before I jump in that.
Well, I just want to say Ruth is really right. Like historically, actually in America, a lot of these really big cultural changes do start with their activation from women, from mothers, because like you said before, like we have this innate like sense of protection for our children and this drive to really like at all costs be there for our kids. We tend to see things first with them. We see problems, we see solutions really well first. But what I will tell you from my own personal experience, I don't know if this is the same for you, Ruth, or the other ladies in your circle, is that as we rise to this occasion and we continue to be steady in our fight, and we continue to stay on course, and we follow through with our convictions, if we believe something is really wrong and we continue down that path to fight it, and we're consistent, what I am seeing in my life and amongst my friends, like we have this innate like sense of protection for our. Did you guys hear that?
That was my phone. I accidentally hit something on here.
Okay, gotcha.
My
Sorry.
apologies.
Kind of creepy hearing myself. Okay, but I mean, I've seen this fight rise up out of my own husband, and I've seen him, like if I'm out doing something, like right now, for example, I mean, all of my children are still awake and they're not running around the house right now. My husband is taking care of them so that I can do this. So we do have a solid partnership, and he is supporting me when I'm doing this. So even though he may not come to the Capitol with me all the time, he'll stay back home watching the other kids, or, you know, so I need him so that I can do certain fights. And if he's going to go fight his own battles, which he has his battles, and he is a fighter now too, I support him by doing what he needs me to do so that he can go fight his battles. Yep. So, you know, maybe they're not there because maybe the moms are fighting, but the men are taking care of the kids. That may be something.
Right.
I just wanted to put that out there.
Some things like, and I'll use me, and then I'm going to touch on Christian T. Harris. He made a statement. But in my household, I love my household because for one, for one, my wife is very independent, okay? Before we got married, she lived on her own for the last 10 years. So she's but she never fights me for my position. You know, she'd be like, what do you think we ought to do? I'd be like, what do you want to do? No, don't do that. Tell me, you're the man, you're the head, you're the leader, lead us, lead the household, you know, what do you want to do? And so when I make a decision, like even the decision I made that I'm in now, okay, she's like, I got you 100%. I'm gonna support you. And I can have a long day of fighting and trying to educate somebody and come home and spend time with my daughter or my son, and first thing come out of her mouth, I'm so proud of you. That gives me the motivation to keep going. You know, it's like she just like, I'm so proud of you. Oh my God, you know, you're focused. I love the way you spoke over here. And then she's taking her insurance license, right? So she's studying. She's a minister too. I said, you ain't got to worry about preaching until you're done with your test. I'll cover you in preaching. I'll cover you in teaching Bible class. You don't have to do nothing. Just focus on that because I want you to focus on that. And she focused on that. Then I said to her, you know what? I'm so proud of you. And I'm so blessed to have you. And I'm so, because what? Because I tell me is this, my wife don't make me whole because I'm a whole man by myself. She just compliments me. Okay. I don't make my wife whole. She's whole by herself. But I compliment her and she compliments me. Right. So I wanted to get, the reason I said that is because I wanted to get to this question right here. And the reason there has to be, because it's the order of God. It is God's order for there to be a head of the house. God ordered. It is God, Christ, man, woman, children. It is the order of God. And what's happening is we're instead of the man, see the woman's supposed to depend on her husband. All right. So I asked every man, I asked this question, Ed. You ain't got to answer it. I already know the answer because I talked to your wife already. But I asked every man this question. I say, when your wife look at you, do she see her hero?
I'm so glad you said that. I'm so
Why?
glad you said that. I am a huge fan of comic books and movies. I always have. I love the mythology, the lore that exists within them. There's something really telling about the heroes and the villains that are out there, and I often preach about that. And I kind of find it funny, especially with people today. I find that people try to look for heroes. They're always looking for somebody else. When the scary reality, and this is what most people are scared of most, if they look in a mirror, they will find the hero that they were looking for. And it's not until you realize that you're going to be of any good to anybody else, because it's kind of like liking and loving. You have to like and love yourself first before you can like or love anyone else, and it's one of those things where, I look at the things that I do on a daily basis. I look at what I'm doing with this podcast. I look at why I'm, as vocal and a loud mouth as that I am, because I want to be a symbol. I want to be a hero, but not just to anybody. If anybody else happens to see me as such, that's nice. I have a 9-year-old son that's in one room away from me. And for him, I am Superman.
Yes.
Yep.
I can't let him down. I don't have the ability to let him down. I don't have the chance to say, oh man, I'm tired. I can't do this. I don't have that luxury anymore. I lost that luxury when so many things have happened, from CRT to the wrong people being elected, right and left and everything else. I have a republic to defend. And if I'm the one person that's going to do it by myself, then by God, I will be the one person standing alone on that hill. But I know that I'm not. And I'll be damned if I'm going to let my son say, you know what? No, my dad was a coward. He tucked his legs behind his, between his, his tail between his legs, gave up, acquiesced. It won't happen. Not while I draw breath. And that's what I love about that whole thing when you talk about being a hero. You don't have to be it for anyone else. If you happen to be for somebody else, that's a bonus. That's a plus. Maybe you can inspire somebody to be better than they were the day before.
Right.
But your children, my son in particular, I don't have a choice. I lost that 10 years ago.
You're absolutely right. And that's why I say people around can say, Dr. King, you're a great man. That don't mean nothing to me.
Nope.
If it's not coming out of my house, if my wife is not telling me I'm great, if my kids, then it doesn't matter. Why? Because they see me 24/7. They see my actions 24/7. And everybody that really know me, that's in my circle, they say, you don't never change. You act a nut at church. You act a nut in traveling the state. You act a nut in the restaurant. You just a nut, and I don't change that because I don't have time to pretend. This is who I am. This is what you're going to get. You're going to get a fighter. You're going to get a person that's going to, and just like you, Ed, until my last breath, my son ain't going to have to worry about freedom. Nope. He's not going to have to worry about his education. My son, 13 years old, getting ready to leave middle school. Our conversation now, what do you want to be in life? Tell me what you want. Let's talk about what's high school going to help you get there. And then I gave him a book called Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill.
You got to read that. Life-changing.
Yes. And I told him.
Richest man in Babylon.
Right.
Got to read that too.
This is what I told him, Ed. I said, because he said, Daddy, can you buy me this new game? I gave him Think and Go Rich. I said, I need you to read 2 chapters and write a book report, and I'll give you that game.
Earn it. Yep.
Yes. So I'm trying to give him, because I'm not telling him to go to school, get an education, get a job. No, this is America. Go to school, get what you want, and own your own. Own your own business. You ain't gotta go to school. But I tell my son 4 things. I said, number 1, I want you to know I always love you.
Yep.
Number 2, I am well pleased with you. You know, I don't want to use the word proud with him. I say I'm well pleased. Number 3, you're a mighty man of God. And number 4, you are a leader. Mm-hmm. Today I went to his parents-teacher conference. You know what the teacher told me? He's a leader. He helps out. He assists. He does. And he's been getting those kind of reports from K4 to the 8th grade. Why? Because those are the things that I installed in him, and he see what I do. My daughters are grown, but my phone ring, when they call me, they're not calling me because they need something. They're calling me because they done found the family in the community that need help. Daddy, can you help this person? I'm like, baby, if they coming to you, that means you're supposed to help them. But they be like, no, daddy, you this is what you do. So they see, and when my daughters can send people to me, that's the biggest honor. Saying my daddy can help you, that's the biggest honor of anything.
I don't want to take up too much more time.
Establishing that identity in them. You know, this is who you are. Kings and queens, you know, we're kings and queens. You know, I say that all the time, you know, and even having, you know, my experience with my divorces, you know, I can say it just openly because I remember thinking to myself early on, you know, the children would come home from their dad's house and they'd be like, oh, you know, this happened at dad's house and this happened at dad's house. And I had to put a stop to it and tell them, you know what happens at your father's house stays at your father's house. If you're not getting abused and it's not verbal and it's not physical, I don't care. Okay. If your father said something to you, you listen to your father. Why are you asking me? You already asked your father. It goes through your father. And so right now I'm, you know, it's the same dynamics without getting too, you know, personal. You know, we just got, you know, placement of a child in our home, and it's establishing that all over again. You know, if your father says something, you go with what your father said. Don't be asking me, because what's going to happen is that both mom and dad are going to be mad at you.
Right.
Because you questioned it, you know? And so they learn, you know, that the alpha male, you know, you go with what your father told you. So, you know, they need to see it in us, and, you know, that we're still a happy couple, that we still love each other, that we still, you know what I mean? We still come to each other, and they see all of that. And we don't want to take that away from them, you know, that dynamic, even in divorce, it's still possible.
Yeah.
You know,
it's hard though.
Difficult, but it's doable.
I gotta dip out of here. Because I said I was only gonna be here like 30 minutes, and yet here I am an hour later. Thanks, David. Thanks. Good looking out there. But I want to leave you guys with something special that I share with my son each and every morning. We have a ritual, and I ask him a few questions. Well, before I go to the questions, I'll tell you, I have my own holiday. I don't know if you guys know this. I call it International Ass Kicking Day, and it's celebrated on all days ending in Y. And the premise of this holiday is that you try to become better than who you were the day before. And some days you can fail, because you will fail. But in that failure, you need to learn. So I ask him, what day is it? What holiday is it? He answers me the holiday. I tell him, what don't we do? We don't lose. What do? We win or we learn. What's the most powerful weapon that you'll ever possess in your lifetime? Your brain. What do we do with our brains each and every day? You feed it. Eat, sleep, dominate, repeat. And that's how I send him off to school each and every morning since he's been in kindergarten. And if I can impress that upon him, his spirit will become indomitable. And I wish more people would do things like that. You know, because once you realize that you don't lose, you learn from your mistakes, Man, imagine what you could do with that attitude collaboratively. Imagine what you can do to make things better than it was yesterday for yourself, your family, your community. The possibilities are endless. You know, Dave, that's why I like having this conversation with you. You get me all into this, get me all emotional.
Well,
Thank you for sharing. That was great.
I know. And then you had me thinking, I'm so slow. You said every day that ends with a Y, and I'm sitting there like,
All days ending in Y.
I'm sitting there. I'm like, did he just do this to me? I'm sitting there like,
Is that, do all days really end in Y? They do. If it makes you feel any better, on any given day, I don't know if it's Monday or Wednesday or Sunday because it's all kind of an amalgamation of one merged day. So, like, if it weren't for my phone, I'd be lost. Just being honest.
well, I got two phones and I'm still lost sometimes.
All right, I got to dip out of here, though. I got some other things I got to try to get done tonight. But David, thank you so much for having me on. Ladies, I am sorry if I talk too much. I do apologize. But it's a pleasure meeting you all.
Nice meeting you.
As well.
Oh, Ed is before you leave, Ed is
Yes,
going
sir.
to be the MC in Sheboygan.
Wonderful. We look forward to having you.
And I promise I will ask David. When I was in Wapaka, I did not talk as much as I did tonight.
Well,
I was
if it's as
I was
fruitful
measured.
if it's as fruitful as it was, then we welcome it.
Yes.
But I try to be, but again, like I said, some of the stuff that I say, it can be questionable for some people because it's again, you got me on another topic, David. Thank you. But oftentimes
You didn't do anything.
he didn't have to say anything. He didn't have to say anything, but I knew he was thinking it. I just like saying what other people are thinking. That's all. So, David, oh God, David, I owe you dinner or something, man. I tell you. All right, guys, you guys have a wonderful night. Got a few things I got to wrap up before the evening's over, but keep up that conversation and keep that hustle strong. Good night, guys.
Good night, sir. All right, ladies. Now, before we close out, we got a good 14 minutes. First, I want y'all to know I really appreciate you guys coming on tonight. You two are, and there's so many of y'all out there. I was trying to get all y'all at one time. There's so many of y'all, and I'm honored to meet you guys. Because this is a battle, and to find somebody else with like mind and fighting the same fight that you're fighting. This is, and I'm glad that I can do the show across, that I can have Jefferson County and Sheboygan in the house at the same time. I mean, I'm loving this, you guys. So I don't know, Nikki, take it away.
Take it away.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should sing a song or something. I don't know. What would you like me to take away or to say?
Share your heart, share your mind, share. I mean, any part, because I know you guys, and like Ruth was saying about getting candidates that has that lion's heart or that backbone or any of those things. But share your heart. I mean, because like y'all say, we've been asleep. We've been voting off of name recognitions. We've been voting because the lesser of the two evil. Because what? Men and men, huh?
I'm ready.
Okay, men and women of God wasn't rising up to run for office, so we had to pick Lucifer or Lucifer Jr. So come on with it, because I see you ready. You done set up on me now.
I did. I sat up. That's right. Okay, so Ruth here, she's been talking a lot about identity, and I think that that's absolutely correct, because I've noticed that, especially among people who believe similarly to me. Like, I still feel like, do you have a strong hold on your identity? But she's talking about you have to know your identity. And when you know your identity, it's unshakable. So whatever you do from there, that point out, continues to flow out from your identity. If your identity is truly what you believe, you cannot stray from that. It's not possible. And so when we were talking about this the other day, we were talking about choosing to be a free man or a free woman, or choosing to be a slave. So right now, what we've had happening in the whole world, it's been orchestrated so beautifully to make us feel like we have to comply with a system that we never signed up to participate in. But we have to comply in order to have access to food, or have access to education, or have access to health care. We are seeing that we have to comply with their system that we have not signed up to participate in. But somehow we have to give it all up. We have to surrender our identity and beg for an exemption, or beg for permission to not be injected or not be masked up. We have to beg for that permission. Or we could be like what Ruth said, and we need to stand firm in our identity and say, no, listen, I am a free woman, and I know I am a child of the one true King, and therefore my identity rests in him. You need to ask permission to do this to my body. You need to ask me to do something to my face, and I will either consent or I will not consent. That is simply it. So if your identity is that you are a free man and you are a free woman, then do not allow them to misunderstand you. When they ask you to do something, it is merely asking your permission. It's all a negotiation. So it's up to you. What are you going to permit to be done to your body? And what are you going to permit to be identified as? And just like Ed did say before, like, people are watching us, especially our own children. So what are my children seeing me do? They're seeing me hopefully behave as a free woman, and they're most definitely seeing their father behave as a free man. And so they're going to walk boldly in that role, and they're going to show this next generation of future freedom fighters, but they're not going to wait for that time when they're adults. They are currently learning how to be freedom fighters in their time, because just as Ruth is called in her Esther moment, just as you are, David, called in your Esther moment, I believe that I am called in my Esther moment here too, right? That this is the time have been born for, this time to be alive, with all of our experiences, all of our bad past experiences, all our good experiences. They have brought us to where we are right now. The same goes for our children. Our children are not to be lost in this moment. They are exactly where they need to be. The friends and the people that they meet around them are exactly the people that they need to have around them. And our children will influence them, and we need to encourage them to continue to be freedom fighters. And they need to see strong role models in their parents. And the people who we associate with are also teaching our children too. So our identity, I believe, is extremely important. You can either choose to be a free man, or you can choose to be a slave.
And you know what? I'm so glad you put it that way, because our children are a prototype of us, you know, and is or a smaller model of us. But if we don't know who we are, then how are they going to find out who they are?
That's
okay?
right.
And if we understand, and I'm glad you're using the S. Boy, you women are using that word tonight. But I'm so glad you used Esther, because this is our divine time. This is the time.
Absolutely.
This is time for us to rise up. You know, I like to say it this way: no more Moses generation. Now we're the Joshua generation. It's time for us to go and possess the land that God said we can have. And we need to go possess it, to the fact where, how is it, or how did we let this happen where we got to get permission not to put something in our own body?
That's right.
You know, I'm sitting there like, God, she right. We sitting here trying to get an exempt for my own. This is my body.
That's right. It's insane. It is absolutely insane that somebody else thinks they have a right to put something in my body.
Right.
No, that is absolutely not correct. And just because there is this very effective propaganda machine that has brainwashed 90% of the world does not mean it's true. It does not mean it's fact, because just like Ruth said, our identity does not lie in the propaganda machine. Our identity lies in the Creator. And that's it.
That's it. And here's the thing though. And now, you know, you done got me to that place right now because
Like, oh no.
if we pay attention, a guy came to me and he said to me, when I said we have the right to choose, he was like, "Well, women have the right to choose too." And he was talking about abortion. I said, let me tell you something. A woman has the right to choose to do with her body, but what she's killing is not her body. So that's a different body. So don't try to use that when we're sitting here talking about our medical choice. We're talking about our own bodies right now. We're not talking about another body that's on the inside. We're talking about our body. And if our body, the government doesn't have the right to tell me how to do my body. Can you imagine? I would have to go to ask the government, is it okay if I go get a haircut? You know? Is it okay to wear a black shirt? Is it okay? Ain't nobody got that. Nobody should have that much authority over us or what's in your house. You know, they did that back in the days when they was giving out welfare. They came to your house to see if it was a man's clothes in your house. They came to see if you had a toaster, because if you had a toaster, you looked like you were prospering. So, you know, that's too much control.
But listen, David, they do have permission to do that because we continue to give it to them.
Yeah.
That is the thing. So we need to reclaim our authority as parents. We need to reclaim our authority of our sovereignty over our own bodies. And we need to just simply declare it. But the thing about it is we can't buckle under pressure. We have to stand firm in it all the time. Every day
they don't like people. They don't like people who are educated. They don't like people who are willing to stand up. I mean, look at what happened in my situation. I mean, I asked for an exemption and I wasn't given anything. You know, they just said, well, you know, that's your job. You're fired. You know, because it was easier to get rid of me being so vocal. It was easier to get rid of me because I was the one that would speak up. Let's get rid of this one. This one's going to be a problem.
Right.
But Ruth, you can continue to carry on in that, and you can continue with that confidence because you seem to simply be able to identify that this is a spiritual battle. This isn't really between you and your employer. This is much bigger than you, so you're okay walking in your next steps.
Yeah.
You know, and I kept thinking, you know, throughout the course of the day, you know, we're faced with all of these challenges, and these people, you know, they're so fearful. There's so much fear. And you know, I'm not a fearful person. You know, I wasn't given the spirit of fear. And so I'm challenged with that, you know, when I'm confronted with, you know, individuals who, you know, they're so fearful of everything, you know, and, you know, I just kept thinking to myself, you know, 1 John, you know, he who is in you is greater than he who is in the world.
Yes.
And we need to hold fast to that. It's our identity. It's who we are. He lives in us. He is the essence of us. And I'm not afraid. You know, it's just, you know, life and death and all, it doesn't even faze me anymore. My spirit is just so called upon to just speak truth. And it just is what it is. You know, there's no shaking it.
I know, right? And we got Mr. Harris.
Yeah, good evening, guys. How are you guys doing? It seems like a in-depth conversation. I think it philosophically comes down to the simple question is of who owns you? That's what it comes down to. Do you own yourself, or does the government own you, or does the business own you, or does some kind of addiction own you? What is it that owns you? And if you own yourself, who has the right to tell you what to do with your body? I mean, there's a reason why when a pregnant woman is murdered, it's double homicide. It's because the state recognizes that what is inside of her is the living being. But it's very simple. It's fundamental. It's like, do you own yourself? Isn't that why we had the Battle of Independence, is to have self-ownership? Or are we going to give away to corporatism and we're going to do things for a job? And I think you were right. I think it's Nikki, right? You said that if we allow things to happen, this is really our fault. We are allowing this to happen because the elite and people who invest, people, corporations, they're willing to push whatever agenda it is, as long as it's sanctioned and it's profitable and it gives them power. There's two things that I always say in journalism we always want to follow is who has the money to make and where does the power go. And when they have the power to come over you and inject you with things that you feel weird about, like I've never had so many conversations with people that were just unsure of something. They're like, well, I don't know, maybe I'll get it. Like if you're that on the fence, you probably shouldn't be making this decision because you don't
Right.
have all the information you need, you know? So regardless of your religious belief or not, it comes down to the fundamental question is if you want to have self-ownership, or are we going to give away to a form of control that we've been warned about and programmed for, and even become ambivalent in the church, much so because we've been prophesied that this is going to happen. So there's nothing we should do because God says it's going to happen either way. That's really not the case. Those are lies. There's a Bible verse. What is it? Matthew 19:24. It's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than a rich person to enter the gates of heaven. And we're all rich compared to what the world was like maybe 100 or 200 years ago. Everything has changed and we need to look at things. Why is it difficult? Well, it's difficult because we're faced with these challenges daily and we allow them to happen. We allow them to change vocabulary. We allow them to change what definitions mean, and we adopt it and we change our lives to conform, to not seem like outcasts, but the greatest outcast of all time, Jesus Christ, true personal hero of mine. That's where it's at. It's about personal freedom. Who owns you? And I tell you what, no one owned Jesus. He died on that cross that day because he knew he was taking it for the team. So that's all I know.
That's right.
Whoa, but I can take it a little deeper than that, Kristen. And here's how. Jesus died on the cross, right? So we was paid with a price, right? There was a price paid for us, right? So this body don't belong to me. So if they want to inject it, they got to ask God. Because that's who owns me. Jesus Christ paid the price. We all said it, right? He paid the price for me. He paid a price I couldn't pay. Right? So he paid the ransom. So I belong to Christ. So if I belong to Christ, then this body is not even mine anymore. So if you want to inject this body, you got to ask God, can you inject this body? Because it's his body. We belong to him. We don't belong to ourselves. And that's the part we keep forgetting. We don't belong to ourselves. We belong to him. We are his children. We are the citizens of his kingdom. So we don't belong to ourselves anymore. Go ask my king if you can inject me.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did. And they didn't have an answer for that. Right. We have a household full of kids here. We need to get to bed, so I'm gonna rest it for tonight.
Oh my God! It's been 2 hours already.
It has. We could go on for like another 2. I think so.
Oh Lord Jesus! So listen. Wow! I didn't know it was that late. Okay, let me just say this because I'll let us go. Kristen, you're gonna have to come back. We're gonna have to get you back.
Right on. Sounds good. Thank you for inviting me. I'd join you anytime.
Okay, so tomorrow, everybody, doors open up at 5:30, 790 North Milwaukee Street, downtown Milwaukee, on the corner of Milwaukee and Wells. Dr. Duke Pesto will be in town teaching on critical race theory and how to fight it. You need to come out and learn. October 1st, we will be in Jefferson County at Johnson Creek, at the Highway Harry for the Wisconsin Revival Rally, and Mr. Harris himself is the keynote speaker for that event. And then October 8th, we will be in Sheboygan with the rally, and K. Carl Smith is coming back to Wisconsin by popular demand, and we will be at the Lakeshore Lanes in Sheboygan, and then we're going to Burlington and Kenosha. So we got a lot of rallies going. And next week, ladies, you let me know which day is good for y'all. we got to come back, and we're gonna bring some more people. Look who now decided to come on, because he would have been good to be on here. Is Ian.
I identify as a male, just so you know. I know that we have 2 females here, but you know.
Oh, I'm sorry, man. My bad.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, but we're excited. I'm excited, y'all. I thank you guys. Ladies and gentlemen, keep the fight going. Let's keep fighting. Let's keep encouraging one another. Let's keep growing. Faith, Family, Freedom Group, and Jefferson County Freedom
Forum.
Freedom Forum. I was going to call you Freedom Fighters. Freedom Forums. That's it. So we got Sheboygan and Jefferson County in the house, and I'm excited. Tomorrow, y'all, but it's going to be great. So we got to do this again one day next week. We're going to invite some more people to join us. Maybe Tuesday night, if y'all free. Tuesday night, we can probably jump in and have somebody from Wolf and I don't know what the pastor problem was that he couldn't get in on the thing tonight, but I know Pastor Roger won't in, and I can't wait to him. Ruth, you know who Pastor Roger is, right? The gentleman that spoke at the event.
Yep.
So we got some pastors that's on fire now. All pastors ain't weak and they not soft. So we got some that's on fire. So we'll get them on. So y'all, this is Dr. David King with the Wisconsin Revival Rally Show. And we just thank y'all and thank all the guests. Thank Ed who got off earlier. We love everybody. And I'll talk to y'all later. God bless.
God bless. Have a good night.